Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Mobility Matters. I'm your host, Javier Betancourt, Executive Director of the Citizens Independent Transportation Trust, or CITT. We're the agency of Miami-Dade County charged with overseeing your half-penny sales tax for transportation. Today is May 4th, so may the 4th be with you. I didn't wear my Star Wars memorabilia, but my guest made up for that. And my guest, by the way, is Neal Schafers.
I forgot my name.
I had a moment there. Neal Schafers, who is the head of urban planning for the Miami Downtown Development Authority, which we will now call a DDA for the rest of the show. Neal, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Javier. You have a very good podcast/radio voice. I didn't know that.
Oh, why, thank you. Now I have to speak like this the rest of the time. No, I've always heard I have a face for radio, so I'll take that the best way possible.
You were saying May the 4th be with you. I'd make up for it. It'd be funny if the camera panned to me and I'm in like a Darth Vader setup or something.
No, but let's see. You got the tie.
I got the tie and the cufflinks,
Beautiful
so
tie,
that's good
cufflinks.
enough.
Awesome, man.
That's enough. Thank you for having me here today. Nice to be with you.
So you're a big Star Wars fan?
I am.
You go to
Big
Disney
time nerd.
and hit the,
Oh, yeah.
is it Hollywood Studios?
Galaxy's Edge.
Okay,
Yeah,
so cool.
we just did it last summer with our daughter and some friends, and it was pretty fantastic.
We won't talk about Disney. It's too controversial these days.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So we'll talk about non-controversial things like transportation and land use. We'll keep it to that.
They're very controversial sometimes.
So Neal, you work for the DDA. Tell
Correct.
us about it. What is the organization?
So the DDA is an economic development agency. We're an independent agency of the city of Miami. We're funded by a special tax levy on commercial and residential properties within our boundaries. Our boundaries are about 2 square miles. So it encompasses most of Brickell, Central Business District, and what used to be called Omni is now kind of called Arts and Entertainment District. If our boundaries are like Biscayne Boulevard and, Biscayne Bay to the east, usually I-95, Metro Rail, Underline to the west, Southwest, Southeast 15th Road to the south, and then we go as far north as Northeast 26th Street, kind of Margaret Pace Park up in the Omni, almost to Edgewater. About 115,000 people live within our boundaries. That population has doubled in less than 10 years, which is amazing. Kind of scary sometimes as well. Our agency is kind of overseen by a 15-member board of directors. We have 3 public appointees. We have a city commissioner, Manola Reyes, county commissioner, Eileen Higgins, and a state public appointee in Mr. Jose Malaya. The other 12 board members are property or business owners within our downtown urban core. They kind of set the policy and oversee the staff and implement the 2025 Downtown Miami Master Plan, which we'll get into, and I know you had a big input on. Our staff usually is about 20 to 26 people in our building, which is the Southeast Financial Building.
Yeah, right behind us there.
Right behind us, right in downtown. We have another 25, 30 people that work out in the streets. We'll talk about them in a little bit. So yeah, that's pretty much the DDA. What we do kind of a little bit of everything. So we are an economic development agency. Our business development team is out. They work from the small mom and pop restaurants, stores, cafes, all the way to recruiting businesses, the biggest of big, whether Amazon or Microsoft, whomever they go after. So
It seems like every day there's a new business being announced.
especially, yeah. And we know COVID really accelerated that kind of economic development and people moving from the Northeast and the West here. So our business development team will go out, they'll recruit in New York City for finance firms. They'll go to hedge fund firms in Chicago, tech firms in California. They've gone and done trade missions in China. So working on bringing new businesses to downtown, doing startup businesses, and especially in the fintech sectors. I said they do a lot of grants with small businesses, facade improvements. So that's the heart of what we do is economic development. But beyond that, we're kind of a hybrid agency, a little bit like a business improvement district. We do lots of marketing and events and promoting downtown businesses. Like I said, programming events that bring people to downtown. Do lots of advocacy at both the local level, state level in Tallahassee and up in DC to get grants and get appropriations for projects we want to do. We have a downtown enhancement team that's kind of enhanced services, so they're the beautification and cleanliness of downtown. So you have the orange shirts, the ambassadors walking around, showing people where to go, helping out with City of Miami Police. The yellow and purple shirts that clean up downtown. And that's a wonderful program because that's
It really is.
primarily composed of formerly homeless individuals who are given housing and training.
Is that still partnership with Camillus?
Camillus House, absolutely, yep. So, and we were trying to expand that program. to bring in even more individuals to help clean up downtown, beautification, removing graffiti, landscaping. So that's a wonderful program. We also do a lot of intergovernment kind of coordination with the county, the city, FDOT, FPNL, and a lot of the
CITT.
large states, CITT, TPO, a lot of the large.
All the acronyms.
All the acronyms, all the stakeholders. And then there's my department, which is urban planning. So it's kind of a catch-all. It's planning, it's capital improvements, placemaking, transportation, mobility, which we're obviously going to get into today. And kind of really trying to implement the 2025 Downtown Miami Master Plan that was worked on and created in 2008 and 2009. You had a big part of that. And now we're going to be looking, we're kind of doing a check-in of where we are, how many of those projects and visions have been implemented, which ones are no longer priorities. And then hopefully over the next 2 years, looking at doing an update for our 2050 Downtown Miami Master Plan, because 2023 is a lot different than 2008. So a lot of new initiatives, a lot of new priorities.
A lot going on. I should have referenced earlier that I worked at the DDA for, I think it was 7 years, which 7 years in DDA terms is like 20 years anywhere else.
Tell me about it.
Only because there's so much going on, and
There
you
is.
learn so much, and you're involved in so much, and you meet so many people, right? It's really a microcosm for all
Absolutely.
the things happening in Miami-Dade County. All those things are happening in downtown at a very fast pace, right? And I think you mentioned that the population has grown, has doubled.
Right.
That's not to mention, all the new businesses, all the new hotels, all the new visitors. So it's incredible to have witnessed and been a part of that transformation, that renaissance. Really, though.
Absolutely.
And the urban planning shop is a big part of that. And so let's talk about that. We did the master plan, and the master plan laid out a vision for what downtown could be and should be. And I think we've checked a lot of those boxes as downtown is transformed. So tell us about this new master plan effort. Has it started yet? When is it
No, we're
planned to? And what types of things are you going to be doing?
So we're just literally just started working it with at the committee level, and then eventually go to board, and then we'll hire the urban planning consultants and start doing public outreach and stakeholder input. It'll realistically probably take a year, if not 2 years, to implement and get it ready. It's downtown. I think in 2023 is a lot different than even 15 years ago, in that we have this huge residential influx. But also a lot of different new priorities, whether it's looking at resilience and stormwater, mitigation, and looking at sea level rise and large storms, whether it's working on affordable housing and workforce housing, and making sure that a lot of the workforce can get to and from their jobs. All these new people obviously has impacted traffic and how bad it has become. And as more people move here, and if the infrastructure doesn't keep up with it, it'll only get worse. But I've also seen a bit of a culture shift in the 7 years I've been at the DDA, whereas Florida, South Florida, Miami has always been kind of a car-centric and car-dominated, society and, kind of community. It's starting to change. As more people move into the downtown urban core, there's been a lot more of a focus and prioritization of pedestrian safety, walkability, mobility, first mile, last mile initiatives, being able to bike or ride your scooter, and being able to use mass transit. Our mass transit system's been around since 84, 86, and it has expanded a little here and there, but it hasn't expanded to keep up with all the people moving here. Right. So I think you're starting to see, and you have seen over the last 5 years, new mass transit options, whether it be Brightline, Tri-Rail eventually coming into downtown. You'll see lots of bike and pedestrian improvements, but I think the majority of those you're going to see over the next 10 years. In 2033, 2035, it'll be a different Miami from what you're used to. And also, Miami's also changed in that, when I was growing up as a kid, whether I lived in Florida or grew up in New Jersey, New York, or moved around, I think most people always thought Miami was Miami Beach.
Yeah.
You just can't help it. That's where
Even
everyone
the University
went.
of Miami was Suntan U.
Yep.
The whole place had a very
LeBron,
different
I'm taking
reputation.
my talents to South Beach, even though I never went to South Beach.
That's right.
So that's changed significantly. It happened a lot with Coral Gables and Coconut Grove. It's happened a lot with Wynwood Design District in Midtown, but it's really happened significantly in Brickell the last 10 years, and now we're starting to see a lot of the redevelopment and reinvestment in the Central Business District. So the whole infrastructure needs to keep up and really have a truly connected mass transit system and bicycle pedestrian, environment that people want to live, work, play, eat, dine, raise families.
No, absolutely. I've always said downtown is the one place in the state of Florida, in the entire state of Florida, where you can live without a car. Really difficult to do
True.
anywhere else. Maybe the beach if you're not going anywhere
Right.
besides the beach. But you have the Metro Mover. you have Metro Rail, as you said, now you have Brightline. Hopefully Tri-Rail sometime this year
Absolutely.
will be joining us. That was an investment we made with the half penny to build a Tri-Rail platform at Miami Central Station. So looking forward to that. So you can get around within downtown pretty easily. You still need to work on those connectivities
Right.
to other parts of the county, such as the beach or where a lot of people reside out west. So what are the specific corridors of the SMART plan, which is the rapid transit plan for the county? What are the specific corridors that the DDA is really kind of involved in and advocating for?
Sure. I mean, the great thing about the SMART plan is all 6 corridors eventually lead to downtown. So all roads, all tracks, all,
Like
trails,
Rome in that way, right?
everything comes to downtown. I would say the 2 that we're most focused on and excited to see happen. The Northeast corridor is actually already working. It's the Brightline tracks. As they add more of the commuter rail and less just intercity. So Brightline right now, you have Miami, just recently added Aventura, Fort Lauderdale, Boca Raton, and West Palm. I actually ride the Brightline every day. I'm one of the few people at the DDA that lives in Fort Lauderdale, so it's my commute every single day. So it's train, scooter, Metro Mover to work, no car. And it works just fine.
You live the talk. I love it.
I actually do. Now, you're right. Once you get to downtown, it's fine. So the Northeast corridor will be a huge one, connecting lots of people that live along that corridor. The beach connector, or the beach link, or the bay link, or whatever it's going to be called, that's one that I'm definitely excited to see be implemented. It would be an expansion of the Metro Mover system that's already there. So one ticket, one seat. That's always, definitely you want to see that versus having to switch modes of transportation. But it wouldn't just connect mainland Miami to Miami Beach. You would have when you get into Miami Beach, you go all the way up to the convention center. But once you come to mainland Miami, you can go up to Wynwood, Design District, Midtown, and that would be, kind of a game changer for downtown.
Now that would be a different segment, right? It's not like the same Metro Mover line would be the beach and Midtown Wynwood, or
No,
is
that's
that
one
the
line.
current plan?
That's the current plan.
That
Is to
is,
have
okay.
one line, and then you would connect. Whether that happens over at Maurice Frey Park or if there's another station, you would connect right there and come right into downtown. So, yeah, that would be wonderful. I believe they're in the planning stages of that right now. So you could see that, possibly by 2028, 2029. It's a possibility. Some of the SMART plan corridors are actually under construction and will be, like the South Dade that goes all the way down to Homestead and Florida City, and that's a bus rapid transit corridor. And while that doesn't lead directly into downtown, I mean that one's under construction and should be open by next year. So some of these things that I've been working on, there's been plans for 20, 30 years, but they've been, really focused the last 5-6 years on doing all the federal required studies to get the funding. And we're actually going to see the first one open next year.
It's starting to happen.
So
In
it's
fact,
exciting.
I toured that with the chamber a couple days ago. That's
right.
I mean, it's coming along. It's coming along.
So that's really exciting as far as the mass transit. Once you get into downtown, working on connections and making it easier and safer to get around. There's quite a few projects, and I should offer a caveat. Everything we work on, there's nothing that we own. The DDA. This is our project. Everything, especially transportation, capital improvements, quality of life, placemaking projects, they take multiple partners and stakeholders. So we work with the city, work with the county, work with FDOT, like you said, all the acronyms, TPO, CITT, work with our county and city commissioners and our elected officials to make sure these things get implemented right, they get designed the right way, there's enough stakeholder input, there's enough public say in how they get done, how they get funded, operations, maintenance, programming. It's complex and it takes a long time for these things to be realized. So they can be frustrating, not just for the public, for the people working on them, but to see them implemented and to see the city we want to see, it's worthwhile to see it finished.
Yeah, you used to say, so Downtown Development Authority. Let's see, we don't develop anything and we have no authority. But other than that, it's a great name.
Yeah, it is. Right. But the good thing is that we get to be a catalyst agency.
Yeah.
So whether it's initiatives and goals that are outlined in our master plan, whether it's things our downtown residents advocate for, whether it's things our board members see that they want implemented, we have the ability to start a project, get people involved, kind of garner enough advocacy for it, work with our elected officials to make sure it gets into, whether it's new legislation, go after the funding, write the grants, get the money, help with the design, and then really, hand it off to whomever is going to oversee it, whether it's county, city, or FDOT or whomever. So.
Yeah, and you actually have something now that we didn't have at the time. All those residents are voters.
Correct.
And could be very effective advocates. pockets, right?
Yes.
So I'm sure you're working very closely with those neighborhood groups to kind of rally them around the
And there's a
cause,
lot
right?
of them.
Yeah.
We have the Brickell Homeowners Association, Downtown Neighborhood Alliance, Brickell Neighborhood Alliance. So yeah, there's quite a few of those homeowner associations and downtown community organizations.
Well, great. So let's go a little smaller scale. We talked about transit. Now let's talk about first, last mile, bicycle, pedestrian mobility. So, it's already a fairly walkable area, just because everything is in close proximity, and downtown is one of the few areas in Miami that was built prior to the car, right? So it was
Correct.
built at a human pedestrian scale, which is great. But there are improvements that can be made. And I
Sure.
know that you guys are spearheading a lot of those. So talk about some of those bike ped improvements.
Sure. So there's quite a few. The Downtown Bike Network or Downtown Mobility Network was a collaboration between Miami-Dade County's Department of Traffic and Public Works or Transportation and Public Works, City of Miami's District 2 office that raised a lot of the money through the scooter pilot program that kind of went away but might come back in one shape or form or another. So that was a goal to make downtown a pedestrian safe, whether that's Vision Zero, to have no fatalities, whether that's pedestrian priority zone. All these kind of overall visions are starting to be implemented. So the Downtown Bike Network is 2.5 miles of protected bike lanes. They run north-south on East First Avenue, Miami Ave, and run, I said north-south, right? Yeah. And then run east-west on 5th and 6th Street. We also did a pilot project, like 5 years ago, to do southeast, southwest 1st Street with a complete street with a dedicated bike lane and dedicated bus lane. So that starts the framework that sets kind of like, now we have, places where you can safely use your bicycle or your scooter or whatever type of first mile, last mile, technology you're using.
Assuming we could keep people from parking in it.
That's what we're also
which is an
working
issue.
on. So we're working with the county to implement landscape planters that will not only beautify downtown, but like you said, keep legally parked cars. Curbside management is also a big one. Keeping the delivery trucks, Amazon, DHL, UPS, keeping DoorDash and all the food delivery services. So there's a lot of what I would call illegal activity going on, and that creates a lot of bottlenecks and trouble. So but having the ability for a lot of our workforce to get around using mass transit, and then using that mass transit and those bicycle pedestrian corridors to get them to where they need to be, because there's a lot of people that just really can't afford to own a car and deal with all that. So that's been wonderful. That collaboration will continue with the county. We need to get those bike lanes south into Brickell. They're working to get them up to 15th and Venetian Causeway over to Miami Beach. So that will continue. We're doing other pedestrian prioritization projects like the Flagler Street renovation. That's a half-mile section of Flagler Street from Biscayne Boulevard to West First Avenue. And we're taking an old historic corridor that was, the birthplace of Miami, and where all entertainment, retail, shopping, dining happened. And of course, there was a suburban flight in the 60s and 70s. But we've seen a lot of reinvestment in these downtown historic corridors. You can talk about Miracle Mile and down in Coral Gables. You can see what's happened with Los Olas and Fort Lauderdale, Clematis Street up in West Palm. So Flagler is going to be very similar to that. We're increasing the sidewalks twice the width, so 24 feet. Very conducive for outdoor dining, shopping, retail. We'll have the ability to close off the street to vehicular access for events, and we've already done that. Historic car shows, we've had fashion shows, movie nights. So bringing people
curbs,
back
right?
into
So it
town.
really truly feels like a plaza when you close the street.
Yeah, very much like a European festival street. What they did, very similar to what they did to Giralda down in Coral Gables. So that'll be wonderful. And we're also redoing all of the underground utilities at the same time. So that takes a lot longer because you have to upgrade all the stormwater, all the drainage. FP&L is
There's a lot of history under that.
A lot of history. We haven't found Jimmy Hoffa, but we found a lot of other stuff. But even FP&L, they're actually giving in-kind donation of $6 million of utility upgrades. So that entire corridor, very historic, but is zoned to go up to 86 stories. So they want to make sure all of the utilities are upgraded, Tico Gas, FP&L, fiber optics, so we don't have to tear up the street again if the street decides to go vertical. Right. Hopefully some of that historic nature of 3, 4, and 5-story buildings will stay there. But we don't know, so we're trying to prepare for the future. But we really want to. Brickell has become a very, very walkable outdoor dining nightlife. I think the Central Business District is just about to kick off and really see a great deal of investment. And some of that's happened because of Brightline. Some of that's happening because of what's going to happen with the county and redoing all of Government Center and the Metro Center. Some of that's happening with what will happen underneath the Signature Bridge and what was called the Underdeck, and now the Overtown Miami Greenway. So we're seeing lots of much more pedestrian and bicycle focused, bringing people into a walkable urban core.
Yeah, it's past due. I mean, that's always been the hole in the donut, right? A lot of investment south, a lot of investment north, and now this is kind of like the last
Absolutely.
remaining frontier is where we started.
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay, we talked about Flagler. Let's talk about the Riverwalk, Baywalk, and Biscayne Green.
Right. So for those people who don't know, Biscayne Bay and all of the development that happens along it in the downtown core, we were very fortunate that we had a land use attorney back in the late 70s named Dan Paul that put in was something affectionately called the Dan Paul Amendment. And it stated that any development, T6 or higher, meaning 6 stories or higher, along both Biscayne Bay and the Miami River, anytime those properties were redeveloped, they had to set the redevelopment 50 feet back from the water's edge and build out a public pedestrian promenade. So if you're on the bay, it's the Baywalk. If you're on the river, it's the Riverwalk. So after 40 plus years of incremental development, the Baywalk in downtown is about 88% built out. Mm-hmm. And the Riverwalk or off-road river, River Greenway is about 65% completed. So we work heavily with the Miami River Commission to make sure those projects are developed right, designed right, and implemented correctly. So there is a pedestrian and bicycle path along the river and the bay. For a long time in the downtown core, the biggest pinch point to get it a completed Baywalk and pedestrian promenade was the old Miami Herald site. Yeah. So 800-foot section. You can't get underneath I-395 MacArthur Causeway. So we have all these new cultural institutions like Perez Art Museum, Frost Science Museum, new Maurice Ferré Park, and you basically dead end right there. Can't go any further. So we've been working with the city. We'll work with the county and FDOT to actually build out an over-the-water, underneath the MacArthur Causeway pedestrian bridge. It's going to be a very expensive project. It's going to be a very complex and detailed project, but we're working on that right now. And what was really exciting for us was always the difficulty of trying to connect to the upland property, which was owned by a Malaysian company called Genting. Mm-hmm. Recently sold to Terra and David Martin. We're very excited to hear about that.
Record price.
That 1,000-foot section of Baywalk will be instrumental. Just for a comparison, Tampa was building out their Riverwalk almost at the exact same time, from the late 70s onto now. And they had a 1,600-foot section they couldn't get built out because their buildings were built out to the water's edge. Mm-hmm. So the city of Tampa, and working with their partners, went after federal grants. They got $11 million almost about 10 years ago, and they built out an over-the-water, basically pedestrian bridge that connected Curtis Hickson Park and a lot of their parks.
I was just there. It looks great.
And since then, they've gotten another $25 million from the federal and another 25. So they're building out. They have 2.5 miles of the Riverwalk now completely built out. The economic impact of just that Riverwalk has been about approximately $4 billion of investment.
Absolutely.
And you see all the residents moving downtown. You see the life coming back. So it's not just a nice private amenity for wealthy condo owners. No, it's Riverwalk and Baywalk can form the pedestrian and bicycle spines of downtown and connect people all along the waterfront. Right. So those are wonderful projects. They'll probably take another 10, 15 years to fully see complete, but once they are, it'll be another wonderful pedestrian amenity.
Yeah, I've always said Biscayne Bay, we don't have mountains, we don't have large forests. Biscayne Bay is our national park, and in fact, towards the southern, and it is literally a national park. But that's our central park, I guess we'll say. And yet so few people have access to it because we've allowed so much of it to be privatized. So what I love about the Baywalk and the Riverwalk is we're really reclaiming that waterfront for the people, right?
Yep, correct. I mean, there's a lot more connections happening now. Yeah. So north-south of the Baywalk, east-west of the Riverwalk. There's another big one that will happen pretty soon. So I'm sure a lot of people have seen a lot of the construction going on with what's called the I-395 Signature Bridge. $800 million Florida Department of Transportation project. So a lot of people think, okay, it's just a fancy-looking bridge. Okay, it's architecturally pretty. It'll be great. Maybe you're thinking, oh, wow, they're going to double-decker 836, and we're going to have, traffic's going to be eliminated. No, definitely not going to happen. From an urban planning perspective and from a quality of life perspective, it's what's going to happen underneath that bridge that we're really excited about. So There will be a
And the reason that's important, by the way, is that bridge really, the bridge, 395 really served to disconnect what was
absolutely.
a historic community
Oh,
over
absolutely.
town and downtown for that matter.
Yeah, in the
right? So-
1950s, when I-95 goes in and they displace, historically black community in Overtown, and then I-395 10 years later
Yeah.
does it even more so. So yes, you really had displaced communities, disconnected communities. So now there will be basically a 33-acre linear space. And we can't call it a park, but for all intents and purposes, it will be a park. So a 33-acre park is huge and a really big, important east-west connection from downtown and Edgewater going west into Overtown. If it's already been designed really well.
Yeah.
If it's constructed, operated, managed, and programmed and activated really well, this is, game changer is a word that's overused, but this
Sure,
really is a
it
game
really
changer
is.
for downtown. And we need more open space and green space in downtown. Not just for where families can go and where people can spend their leisure time, but also we need a lot more open space and green space to take on these big storms,
Yeah.
help with stormwater management, and really help with, the flooding. Because a lot of these green spaces retain the water, and that's where it can go and naturally, kind of dissipate back into the ground, the groundwater and the surface water. We don't really want it in our roads and our sidewalks, so that's a big component.
Or in our
of that.
homes.
Or in our homes, right? In our homes, right?
So last project I think we can talk about before we run out of time is Biscayne Green. So
Sure.
speaking of green space and bike ped connectivity,
Right.
tell us about this project.
Yeah, so Biscayne Green, it's this is a project that it's much more easier to see when you experience it or you see the visuals, but we can talk it through. So I was mentioning where our office is. We're located, right across the street from Bayfront Park and the Intercontinental Hotel in downtown. That section of Biscayne Boulevard is the only section, basically from Southeast 2nd to Northeast 6th, think up to where the Heat play.
It's, again, it's essentially the section we're looking at here
Right,
behind
correct,
you on
correct.
this mural.
So up to what was, formerly known as American Airlines Arena, now Miami-Dade County Arena. That's the only section of Biscayne Boulevard that has 8 vehicular travel lanes. In the middle of those travel lanes are 6 surface parking lots. So this is some of the most valuable real estate in all of Miami, and it's dedicated solely to cars. And when I say it's the only area with 8 lanes, what I mean is when you get north of the arena, goes down to 6 lanes. You get up to Adrian Arch Center, down to 4 lanes. Same thing when you head south.
Yep.
So what we've created is a reverse bottleneck.
Yeah.
When you're stuck in traffic and coming across the Brickell Bridge, or you're stuck in traffic and coming south, all of a sudden you see these lanes open and you're like, wow. So it leads to dangerous car behavior. People are hitting the gas and trying to get ahead of each other and you beat the traffic, but then they go right back into that bottleneck. So it's actually creates a dangerous environment for bicycles, for pedestrians, for everyone.
And it's an area where people are trying to cross, right?
And people are trying to go
who live or
east-west.
work or staying at a hotel
Absolutely.
To the west are trying to get to Bayside or
Correct.
the water.
And those surface parking lots, unless there's a Heat game or a big concert, they're kind of empty space at night.
Right.
So the goal, which again came out of that 2025 Downtown Miami Master Plan, was to create a pedestrian promenade and basically a very safe north-south area. Not only for dedicated bike lanes, maybe dedicated bus lanes, but it's to build out a public promenade in those parking spaces. There's been very similar projects, Rose Kennedy Greenway up in Boston. There's other projects, Embarcadero in San Francisco. Many urban core projects where they kind of transform a car corridor into a people corridor. You can offset the parking by building parking decks. You can go underground surface lots. You can do on-street parking. So there isn't a parking, there is a parking surplus actually in the area. So that's not really a concern. The difficulty is to get people and stakeholders and elected officials to realize that there's greater uses for that area than just parking lots and vehicular travel lanes. So we'll be working with the county, the TPO, the city, FDOT, all of the stakeholders that are involved in that project, and hopefully you'll see a green promenade going down that corridor. And we, just real quickly, if you have a little more time, we actually did a showcase a few years ago. We did what was called a pop-up park, public demonstration. We took over 2 or 3 of those parking medians. We took over some of the travel lanes. We did on-street parking. We did dedicated bus and bike lanes. We actually built out a kind of a public park in those surface parking lots. We had dog parks, children's playgrounds. We had open green space. I think we had it closed. We had that area closed for about a full month. We did 21 events. It was over 27 days, and we had more than 20,000 people show up. We had staff walking around with iPads asking them where they're from. Almost nobody that was at that event was from downtown. It was people from all over who hadn't seen downtown Miami in a long time and had no idea. They're like, wow, I can't believe how much this has been built up over the last few years. And the number one comment we had is this permanent? Will this be here forever? And we're like, no, this is a showcase to show people what is possible, what could be coming down the line. And it built up a lot of advocacy and stakeholder support for the project. And so hopefully we'll see it implemented over the next 5 to 10 years.
Proof of concept, right?
Correct, yes.
Yeah.
And it's a good way to test things out and see if they work, and see if people really want them.
Absolutely. And it's clear they do.
It was very clear that they do on that one, for sure.
We've only scratched the surface on all the great things that the DDA is doing and is involved in. We haven't even gotten into your background, and yet we're running out of time. So I do want to allow you just a couple of seconds to do a shameless plug.
Sure.
I know you're involved in a lot, and I know you're largely doing it alone. So are you hiring?
We are, actually, yes. So we're looking for an urban planner, and we're looking for a transportation planner. You can come visit us at miamidda.com. You'll see some of the job listings posted there. We're always looking for new, bright, innovative people to come and help. And it really helps if you have local people who not only know the history of Miami, they know all the players, but it's really great also to see people who want to see their downtown community, their downtown core change for the better and be the place people want to live, want to work, want to, shop and dine and relax. So, we're trying to transform downtown and make it the place people want to be, and put it on the map, not just Miami Beach. So, if you're looking to work for us and help change downtown, let us know.
And I have to say, as someone who worked there for 7 years and continues to follow your work, there's no better place to work, really. I mean, you're involved in so many different things. It's every conceivable level, meeting, all the who's who of Miami.
Absolutely.
So not only is it a great place to work, it's a great place to learn. As I said earlier.
Agreed.
I learned more in 7 years than I would have in a career anywhere else. So, and by the way, working with great people.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you.
Yourself, the leadership there, Christina, and the whole team is wonderful.
No,
so.
my first day going there was basically you handing the baton to me. You were leaving and saying, all right, we set the groundwork, now make it happen.
Yeah.
So,
and you're doing a great job.
and one day I'll have to pass that baton and say, all right, get us to the finish line. I don't think there ever is a finish line in cities, but
No, never. That's the beauty of it,
that is
right?
the beauty of it.
It's
They
good job
constantly
security.
adapt and change.
Neal, thank you for
Great to
taking
see
the
you.
time to
Yep.
come.
Thank you.
We'll
for having
have to
us.
have you back in because I know we only scratch the surface and we have a lot more to talk about.
I would love
So,
that. Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you. Folks, that's all the time we have here on Mobility Matters. We invite you to join us every couple of weeks. It's every other Thursday at 9 a.m. We want to thank our partners in this endeavor, community newspapers, for hosting us and producing the show. Please visit our website to learn more about us, www.miamidade.gov/CITT. We are actively recruiting board members. We have several vacancies, and also CITT ambassadors. So if you ride transit and are interested in helping us improve transit, please explore the program, sign up today to be a volunteer. Thank you, and may the 4th be with you.